shows. Available everywhere podcasts.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast, brought to you as always by the GSMC Sports Network. Like I said before the break, our fourth segment will be focused on the running back position. We started our positional rankings for the week with the QB position. Hope you like that segment. Let me know what you think about that segment in the comments as well if you have any questions about it. But looking ahead to the running backs, definitely a lot of interesting guys. The four guys I picked this week kind of are guys who either have stepped up, I want to see step up based off of what I've seen out of their offenses so far, or just guys who I feel like will be more consistent going forward. Guys who will have been around, the periphery of solid high-end running backs in fantasy, but are looking to break out for their offenses and for you in terms of fantasy. Without further ado, let's jump right into our fourth segment of the day here. Let's start off with a running back who really has been a nice supplementary piece for this Indianapolis Colts offense in the past couple of weeks. Especially, with the uncertainty about how injury-prone Anthony Richardson really is and how that will affect his development. This guy really does need to step up, but has proven and answered the call, at least in the past 2 weeks, that he can have staying power in this Colts offense. And that is... Ooh, I did not make a graphic for that. I'm sorry. Jonathan Taylor. I thought I made a graphic. Sorry for that. Excuse me for that. But we will do this segment without graphic anyways, because I think that it will still be a good one that you can comment on if you so choose throughout. Jonathan Taylor, like I said, is a guy who is going to be, at the very least, a high-end RB1 for you in offense, if not an RB2, should they want to develop Anthony Richardson more. And that's a thing that you have to kind of monitor, right? Because as much as we want to see Anthony Richardson succeed in the league, it's not to his detriment, right? We don't want to see him continuously get injured in this offense. And so what do you need besides, a guy like Anthony Richardson to develop? You need a solid running back in the backfield. And that's what Jonathan Taylor, at least for the past 2 weeks, has shown. 21 carries, 88 yards, 1 touchdown, 19.8 fantasy points against the Steelers' run defense, mind you. They're looking to be one of the more impressive in the league. Really gashed them, especially, after Richardson went down. And it's going up against a Jags defense that, the less we say about the better, whether it be the run defense or the pass defense. Albeit, holding the Texans to 24 points being impressive, I still don't think going forward that they have as much of a shot on the defense as people think. So look for him, whether it be, Anthony Richardson or Joe Flacco at the QB position, to really supplement both of them very nicely. Because that's what I wanted to see out of him to begin with to start the season. A nice complementary style of play at the running back position that allows Anthony Richardson to develop and allows him to stay on schedule. So as long as, Anthony Richardson is healthy, that partnership is going to continue to grow, and that's why I appreciate Jonathan Taylor as not only a real-life running back, but a fantasy running back. But this next guy that I'm going to talk about, as we've had a love-hate relationship with him here on the show before the start of the season, in fact, I kind of said that this guy was not going to replicate his exploits of last year, because of his speed and how this offense was looking projected for the season. And now that we know we're 4 weeks into the season, his quarterback is hurt, and they have to come up with different plays to kind of keep that offense on schedule. I kind of want him to be the focal point of this offense now. I'm kind of retracting what I said about him to start the year and kind of wanting to go all in on him. It's through kind of fate of circumstance, but I feel like going forward, his fantasy value could only skyrocket from here, hopefully. And that's De'Von Achane. What I liked about what bringing Tyler Huntley into the team would do for the Dolphins was it would allow De'Von Achane to have a bigger role, because I thought with Tua, he was kind of holding him back because, yes, De'Von Achane is good for an explosive play on the ground, but ultimately what Mike McDaniel wants, I believe, is Tua to be very effective in the vertical game down the field. So that's why I felt like De'Von Achane might be a little bit inhibited in terms of what he was able to do in this offense this year. But now that that's not the case anymore, now that you have Tyler Huntley, and this is more of an imploring kind of statement to Mike McDaniel, if he sees this segment at all. I don't think he will, but I'm still imploring him to utilize both Huntley and Achane to great effect. It opens up a lot more avenues. Trust me, I know it's painful, letting go of what you had wanted to build your offense around this year and kind of throwing it all out the window to go more run heavy and kind of eschewing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But it's what you have to do. And I think what is going to be most effective, most importantly, going forward for you to stay competitive if that's what you want this season. Because I feel like the Dolphins aren't that, good in terms of depth, but they still have talent, right, that you can utilize. So you can't necessarily pack it in if you're Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins organization this year, because you have weapons to be good. And you're going up against the Patriots. It's a divisional game that you can very easily win. And it's going to come down to, I think, in this game, being effective in the run game, because the Patriots aren't that good at setting the edge. You have a guy in Tyler Huntley who can run the option at the QB position pretty competently. So go with that game plan, because it works against this opponent. Most importantly, it's a divisional game that you can win. It's a very winnable game going forward. It will kind of calm you down and kind of see what your offense is at that point of the season. And most importantly, it will allow Devon Achane to find his sea legs. And that's why I think I have to retract my statement on him. Because through no fault of his own and through no fault of my own, actually, Devon Achane is going to become an integral part of what the Dolphins do moving forward. So take this with a grain of salt, because I still don't believe Mike McDaniel will do it. But looking forward, I feel like it's something that I want to monitor for them. And I feel like you should as well, because Devon Achane, when he's on, is perhaps one of the best running backs in fantasy we've seen. And so make of this what you will, because I still am wary of him. But I'm willing to take the brakes off what I said before the season. What the Dolphins offense looks like right now. Then our third guy is a guy we've talked about a lot on the show. A lot of you guys like him in the comments. James Conner. I love James Conner. And in order for, Arizona to have the occasional big offensive game where they explode for 30, 40 plus points, it's going to have to come down to the balance between what Kyler Murray brings in the pass game and what James Conner does on the ground. In this game against, I guess the Cardinals, the Commanders, they didn't necessarily have the tools to keep up with them. They were wiped out their home field. It was mainly due to the defense. I think, the offense will occasionally, kind of misfire, but for the most part, they can stay on schedule because of all the talent they now have. And James Conner is a big part of that. They're going up against the 49ers, a vulnerable 49ers team, mind you. And I will mention this game later in the week as one of the friskier games to look out for in terms of big fantasy implications. And I think, one of the things that can exploit is the fact that, the 49ers are losing a lot of depth up front, or they're not playing at full strength up front, and it's showing in how teams play them, right? Get chunk yardage and early downs and on third downs, where one of the worst defenses in the league, exploit them in the pass game. And that's what I think the Cardinals' offense should look like. Run, shot play. And I think that will work for them as well, because Kyler Murray's arm strength and talent at the QB position is undeniable. And he has weapons in Marvin Harrison, and Michael Wilson kind of rounding into his own, Greg Torch, a nice supplementary piece at the wide receiver 3, and most importantly, Trey McBride, who is one of the more physically imposing tight ends in the league, to really help supplement that. So James Conner is going to be a huge X factor in this game if they want to take advantage of a defense like 49ers where they're weaker in the run game and you can exploit them in later downs because they're not good on third down defense as well. So I'm not saying that we'll see offensive fireworks from the Arizona Cardinals in this game, but we'll see a huge game in terms of touches, in terms of targets potentially for James Conner in this one as well. And the last play I want to talk about, kind of a workhorse back, finding his sea legs again. Really impressive game against Minnesota. They kind of went under the radar because of the way they had lost. Josh Jacobs. Yeah, he didn't have many yards in this game against Minnesota. Yeah, it was all more about, seeing how Jordan Love looked like coming back from the MCL injury. Josh Jacobs is still going to be effective. I think that he's a very, very intriguing part of this Packers offense. Yes, perhaps because of the Christian Watson injury, he's going to get a couple more touches, kind of calm Jordan Love down and make sure they're playing mistake-free football, because what we saw against Minnesota was not indicative of what I think this offense can play like. So, if Josh Jacobs, gets, say, 15 to 20 amount of touches, I think he can make the most of them. Most importantly, in the receiving game, he looked very effective. They said that he had never caught a receiving touchdown in his career, and that's kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, really? Because Josh Jacobs is a very versatile back. And in this Packers offense, suddenly become more versatile, if the passing game suddenly becomes stagnant. And as much as I would love to see the Packers run game, the pass game actually, really open up, because Jordan Love has a lot of different weapons at his disposal, I think that Josh Jacobs can set the tone for them. They're going up against a Rams team that on the defensive side of the football is not putting all the depth and experience they have together combined with their youngsters, combined with their second, third year players to the best of their abilities. I think that they're going to take a while for their run defense to really coalesce, and I think the Packers should take advantage of that. So look for Josh Jacobs to get a lot of touches in this offense as well. But overall, these four running backs all kind of still have some points to prove to me, whether or not it be their coaches implementing them more into their game style, or just, continuing to prove that they're nice pieces for their QBs in the backfield. But let me know what you think in the comments, because my list certainly is one that can be scrutinized very heavily. But coming up for our last time of the day's show, I give you my bold fantasy predictions for this coming up week. Don't be surprised if you will, kind of segment that a lot of you guys love. I'll be right back, so don't go anywhere to conclude the show.